Oh yeah, totally.
All right, so first of all, let me say apologies. I joined late because my Zoom was doing some updates, so I'm sorry. Geshe was saying that he had a very good opportunity today to recite the 100 deities of the land of joy, Gaden and do the prayers in the beginning, and in this way accumulate soul. It's always very good to have this opportunity, but once you do this, at the end, you want to make dedication prayers. It is important to make dedication prayers so that you do not lose or you do not waste any of that accumulation that you have created. And once you dedicate it, they become the cause for obtaining the state of Buddhahood or the state of liberation. There is difference between prayer and dedication. Prayer is said to be like the horse, and the dedication is said to be the bit. The bit is that metal part that goes in the mouth of the horse. And once you have this in place, then you can use the reins and you can direct the horse this way or that way. Okay, so today also, especially, it's a time of doing prayers, and amongst all the prayers, we know that Samandabhadra prayer is the supreme, and especially within Samandabhadra prayer, we have this verse that says, just as the brave Manjushri and Samandabhadra too, towards the end. So when we finished, after the mandala offering, we will also recite that verse. Geshe says, I'm sure everybody has the prayer. Okay, so Geshe was saying we have started with this presentation, and we're talking about it is pervasive, it is not pervasive. And Geshe says, in the back of my mind, I have a little bit of a worry whether it is clear or you really understand it. But at the beginning, right now, Geshe would like to speak a bit about refuge. We say that we are Buddhists. We say that the practice that we do is the Buddhist practice, but this actually is determined by the refuge. If you have refuge, you follow a Buddhist practice, isn't it? Now, those of you who have done previously Lamrim classes, I think you would have a good understanding of what is refuge. But I think perhaps there are people in the audience who are not clear. They don't really understand what is refuge. So when we say it's important to go for refuge, if you don't know what refuge is about, obviously you cannot go for refuge. Also, Geshe was saying, I would like to make a correction here because I hear people saying accumulate refuge. We don't accumulate refuge. We establish refuge or we go for refuge. And in order to go for refuge, you must know the proper way of going for refuge, how to go for refuge. So Geshe would like to dedicate a bit of time at the beginning to talk about refuge. Geshe says, myself, I don't know much about refuge, but I will, explain a bit. So we talk a lot about going for refuge, and sometimes we need to go through, let's say, a logical way of establishing everything. But Geshe says, no, I want you to think a bit more about the law of cause and effect. We have been in cyclic existence in samsara since beginningless time. And that means that we have accumulated an incredible amount of karma. The majority of that karma that we have accumulated is karma that will give us rebirth in the 3 lower migrations. So when we look at the possibility of being reborn from a higher migration to a lower migration, it says that those who do this are as numerous as the grains of dust that covers the entire earth. So as you can see, the probability of going to the lower migrations is far greater. The other reason for that is that since beginningless time in samsara, we have developed great familiarity with all afflictions. And these afflictions make us then act in a negative way so that we keep accumulating negative karma. Therefore, it is very clear, if you consider this, that we are ready, we are at the verge of taking another rebirth in the lower migrations. Just consider the law of cause and effect, and this will be very clear. Okay, so the thing that we have to consider is that if we end up with a rebirth in one of the three lower migrations, we will certainly experience suffering. These types of migrations are characterized with this incredible, very heavy, continuous experience of suffering, especially if we were to be born in the hills, the suffering there would be unbearable. Some have already been born there and are already experiencing this type of suffering. And as for ourselves, it is more or less certain that we are ready to be reborn there. So if you consider this type of suffering, it is suitable to be afraid for this. So we must think about it in order to generate fear for suffering, because that fear is an indispensable component of going for refuge, is one of the causes for going for refuge. And without having that fear, you will not go for refuge. So it's very good, even if we do it in a brief way, we have to think about suffering to generate that fear. Okay, so we said that the first cause that we must have in place is fear. Now, there's a second cause that we must have, and the second cause is faith. Here, the faith is this conviction that the three jewels, the three objects of refuge, have the power to protect us from the suffering of the three lower migrations. So from the bottom of our heart, we must have this confidence, this conviction that says, of course, they have the total power to protect me from this, from the suffering of these three lower migrations. Like if the question ever pops into your mind, there is this suffering, who can protect me? Who could possibly protect me? So like spontaneously from your heart, you would think, yes, I have the absolute conviction, the faith. It is very clear in my mind that the objects of refuge have the power to protect me. So this is the type of faith we are talking about. And when we combine this faith with the previous fear, then we have the complete set of the two causes. When this is complete, then spontaneously there is this reaction from within our heart, from within our mind, and we go for refuge. We establish refuge. If these two things are not in place, if we don't have both of the causes, then we simply don't go for refuge. We don't establish the refuge. Okay, so if these two things arise spontaneously, clearly in our mind, from the bottom of the heart, with great conviction, we go for refuge. At the same time, we can recite the verse, I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly, and so forth. Or I go for refuge to the Guru, I'll go for refuge to the Buddha, I'll go for refuge to the Dharma, I'll go for refuge to the Sangha, right? So we recite the refuge, and also we go for refuge. So Geshe was saying, you know, in the beginning of the class, when we say, I go for refuge until I'm enlightened, and so forth, the verse, when we recite it, do you have those feelings? Because if you don't have those feelings, you don't have refuge. Now, the thing is, if we do the recitation slowly, right, and this is what Geshe tries to do the recitation of refuge slowly, that gives you the opportunity to contemplate these things, to bring up these feelings of the fear and the faith. Okay, so we say that faith is very important, but this is not just any faith. It cannot be blind faith in which you do not see any reason, right? So you just say blindly, I accept it is some sort of blessing that will protect me. It's not like this. We have to see the reason. Okay, so if we take, for example, the Buddha, one of the objects of refuge, the Buddha jewel is suitable to protect us. Suitable to protect us means he has all the power to protect us. It means we can see the reason why he can protect us. So first of all, we say he has the power, or he's suitable to protect us. Protect us from what? The thing that we are afraid, the fear of the suffering of the 3 lower migrations. Why he can protect us? He can protect us because he himself is free from all types of fear. Because he is free, he can also protect us. If he was not free from fear, if he was just like us, he could not protect us. It is like the example of one person who is stuck in the mud, and you want to have another person who is trying to pull the first person out of the mud. If the second person is also stuck in the mud, they cannot help. They cannot pull the other person out. To help to pull the first person out, the second one, the one who's liberating, who's helping, must be free from mud, outside the mud. Okay, so we say the first reason why it is suitable for the Buddha to be an object of refuge for us is because he himself is free from all fear. Okay, but in addition to that, he must be very skillful in the methods that liberate. Otherwise, it could be the case that he somehow liberated himself. He is now free from all fear. But if he doesn't know how to protect us, if he doesn't know the method, if he cannot guide us in this way, then it's not useful. However, he's very skillful in all means and methods. Okay, so we say the second reason why he's suitable to protect us is because he's very skillful in all the means. But again, that is not sufficient, because the question is, okay, he's totally skillful, but will he protect me or not? And of course he will protect, because his mind is totally filled with compassion. He has great compassion, and that compassion of the Buddha has absolutely no partiality. It evenly covers or extends to all sentient beings. It's not like our compassion. Our compassion is fragmented. Our compassion is bent, twisted, and is twisting and bending. It only covers our friends or those who are from the same village, from the same neighborhood, and excludes others. But this is not the compassion of the Buddha. Compassion of the Buddha is equal, non-partial to all. So that's a third reason. We'll come to the fourth reason, and the fourth reason is the whole issue of benefit. In our case, we will benefit those who benefit us. All right. If someone doesn't benefit us, we will not go out of our way to benefit that person. Now, the same also is true in relation between countries, right? So one country to the next, they will make ties, they will make special agreements, but only as long as they see benefit. If they do not see benefit, they will not make any special agreements, isn't it? So from our side, we have this limitation that we will only help those who benefit us, and we will not help those who do not benefit us. So judging from our own self, we might generate, the doubt and say, I have not benefited the Buddha. So is the Buddha going to benefit me? Is the Buddha going to protect me? We need not have such doubts, because actually the way that the Buddha operates is that he equally benefits and protects everyone, whether that person helps him or whether causes or not, right? The Buddha has an equal disposition or equal way of benefiting all, right? So we shouldn't think, it's not like ordinary people where you think, well, I don't know this person, they don't know me, I have to befriend them first, we have to become friends first. After we become friends, maybe they will help me. It's not like this with the Buddha. The Buddha will help you anyway, whether you are beneficial to him or not. Okay, so as you can see here, because we have these 4 reasons together, having seen these 4 reasons, we say, okay, now I have the confidence, I have the faith that he will protect me. So we're not requesting for you to have faith that is blind without seeing any reason, saying you must have faith, even if you don't see the reason. We explain the reason. We are given 4 reasons why you can see it is suitable to have the trust, the belief, the faith that the Buddha will help you, protect you. Okay, so as we say, because we don't wish to experience the suffering of the 3 lower migrations, we go for refuge. And then the question is, who will actually protect me? What will actually protect me? We talked about the Buddha jewel, but the Buddha is, in a sense, only the teacher. So for that reason, it's important to look at the next jewel, the next object of refuge, which is the Dharma jewel. The Dharma jewel is the instruction or the teachings that the Buddha has given us. And it is by following these teachings that we are protected. So the Buddha has given us the advice saying, do this, do not do this. And if we follow this, we will be protected. It is similar to the case where we have done something really bad, we've broken the law, and there is danger of ending up in jail. So what we do is we go and consult like a lawyer or someone who says, okay, now listen carefully. You have to do this and this and this. You do not do this and this and this. And if we follow the advice and if we act accordingly, we might escape, or we might not need to go to the jail, to prison, isn't it? So the same thing with the instructions or the advice that the Buddha has given us. If we do what he said we should do, and if we avoid doing what he said we should not do, we should be protected. So then the question is, if we do the opposite, all the things the Buddha says you should do, we don't do. And all the things that the Buddha said you should not do, then we do them. And then we go for refuge. Do you think there will be any protection there? Answer is no. So it is like this. If we do the opposite of what the Buddha says, the Buddha actually cannot protect us, right? So it's not the case that the Buddha will lift us with his hand or, make us fly up in an airplane and be in a better place. It doesn't work like this. The Buddha has taught the Dharma, so we have to follow this. Okay, so the question here is, okay, the Dharma was taught by the Buddha, but who will explain it to us? Who will teach it to us? So there we come to the third object of refuge, that is Arya Sangha. Arya Sangha are those who explain the Dharma to us. They say, this is what the Buddha said. The Buddha said, do this, do not do that, right? So there are those who help us along the path. So this is why we say that we need to have 3 objects of refuge. When we go for refuge, we identify 3 objects. And this is how we go for refuge, not through some blind faith. We go with faith after having seen the reason, the logic of how they protect us. So if you have a good understanding of all this, and if you go through this process, then the refuge you establish is very good. So then when you recite the verse that says, I go for refuge to the Guru, I go for refuge to the Buddha, I go for refuge to the Dharma, I go for refuge to the Sangha, then this will be good refuge. Otherwise, without this understanding, without having generated the causes for refuge, you might recite this verse 100,000 times. You might recite it 1,000,000 times, but still, it's nothing. It's empty words. It doesn't have the power to protect you. It's not real refuge. So what we need to understand here is that in order to go for refuge, we must establish the 2 causes for refuge. The first cause is the fear, and the second cause is faith. Understand that you need these 2 causes to establish refuge. Okay, so having gone through this, we have seen that actually the Buddha has this incredible capacity, the incredible power to protect us, to give us refuge, because we went through the 4 reasons. The Buddha himself is free from all fear. The Buddha is very skillful in all means. The Buddha has great compassion. The Buddha does not differentiate between those who benefit him or don't benefit him, right? So it's an extremely compassionate and powerful being. All right. So then the question is, how come there are still sentient beings who are still trapped in samsara, experiencing suffering, especially the suffering of the lower migrations? How come? Like, whose fault is it? Why is this? Okay, so Geshe says, I've told you everything here. Okay, you've understood these points. We could not point the finger and say the Buddha is at fault. Okay, so usually, when something goes wrong, we point the finger and say this person is at fault. Today we have to do the opposite. Turn the finger to yourselves and say, my fault. Okay, so I am at fault. We are at fault. Why? Because the things that the Buddha said don't do, we do them. And the things that the Buddha said you should do, we don't do them. So Geshe is saying I spent a little bit of time. We didn't go straight away into definitions because, at the beginning of the class also, at the beginning of everything, what we do is we go for refuge. And by going for refuge, we say that we are Buddhist. You're a Buddhist if you go for refuge, isn't it? But to say that I am a Buddhist, but I never think about refuge, or I don't understand how to go for refuge, then these two things are actually contradictory. All right. So in order to say that I go for refuge, I accept the three jewels, I am a Buddhist, in order for all of this to have any meaning, to be sincere statements, you must know how to go for refuge, and you must go for refuge, because if you don't know how to go for refuge, but say, I'm a Buddhist, I accept the three jewels and so forth, then all of this is empty words. If you understand and you know how to go for refuge, then you are the best amongst the Buddhists. If you don't know how to go for refuge, you're not even a Buddhist. Okay. Shinki kato tang tsawe kato. Okay, so, okay. All right, so last time Geshe finished with a question where he asked you as a homework to calculate how many possibilities are between the color of wood and root color. Okay, so do you have any answers? Did you think about it? Okay, Geshe says it doesn't matter whether it is root color or just color. Okay, one is the color of the wood. Okay, so the other one you could say color or root color. Root color. Okay, no problem. Whichever of these two you want to compare. It doesn't matter. The original question or today's question. Okay, all right. So Geshe is saying, it's not useful if you just say 4 possibilities. You actually have to spell it out for us. Okay, so first of all, you have to say, there is the possibility of being both. The second, the possibility of being A but not B, and so forth. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. You tell us, what is the possibility of being both?
Okay, the first possibility is something which is both.
Yes.
The color of the wood, and the wood is brown, therefore it is a color.
Okay.
Root.
You can choose whether it is color or root color. Okay, but just give us
the first possibility.
Yes.
Is something which is both, which is the color of the wood, which is brown, right? The wood is brown.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we can use white wood. Okay, for everybody's sake, we use white wood. And the color of the
white wood,
it is white and it is a color. That's the first possibility.
Okay.
The second possibility is the white wood is white color. It is pervasive that it is white color. Therefore, The white color pervades color.
Okay. Sorry, can you repeat the second one?
Okay, the white wood
Yes.
is white color. The
Okay.
white wood is white in color.
Yes, yes. Okay, so that was the first.
Yeah,
Now
so
what-
it pervades. So that means it is pervasive that it is a white color. Right? Who pervades who, right? So therefore it is pervasive that it's a white color. And therefore the white color pervades color, as in like the whole color, the color itself. Color, yes. The white wood color pervades color.
Okay. Are you doing the color of the wood and the other thing is color? Or is the
Color,
second? All right. Just tell me an example of something which is both a color and the color of the wood. Example, please.
The color of the wood is white. Therefore, the color is a color.
Look, for the first one, you need to find us an example of something which is color, and at the same time, it's the color of the wood. Okay. Okay. Now, for the wood, we can have wood that comes in many colors. You can have white wood, black wood, brown wood, red wood, many colors. All right. So pick one, anyone, and say, here, Geshe was using the brown color of the wood. So one answer is the brown color of the wood. It is both the color of the wood and it is a color. Now, because we say here that wood comes in many colors, really you should be focusing on the different colors that you can, of the wood, right? Don't think of anything else. Don't think about the color of metal, of copper, of silver, or what have you, right? Only colors of the wood. Okay, so then you have to find an example, a possibility of something which is color, but is not the color of the wood. So now you start thinking about other things. Okay, give me an example. For example,
The cup is not a wood and it's not brown in color.
okay, so in this case, stop limiting yourself to the brown color of the wood. Okay, stop saying the brown, because the wood comes in many colors. It can be white, black, brown, red, and so on. You can paint it any color, right? It can be many colors. All right, so don't say brown here.
I think must say the color of the cup.
The color of the cup. All right, so what is your response?
The color of the cup is red and a red color cup.
Okay, so Geshe was saying, for example, pointing up at the ceiling or the walls, the color of the house is white, isn't it? This is the color of the house. It's not the color of the wood, is it? It is color, isn't it? And you need to give something which is color.
She say blue cup, red cup.
So the main thing here is that your answer must give us the color of something other than wood. Right. So you can say the color of the house, the color of your cup, the color of the dog, and name it. There are many, many colors of many other things that are not the wood. So the main thing here is that you differentiate from the wood. Okay, the other question. The color of the wood and color. Which of these two groups is the bigger one? So when we have two groups and one is larger and the other one is smaller, like it's a subgroup of the smaller, okay, then you say the color of the wood, it is pervasive that it is color. So the smaller is pervasive, that is the larger, because it's a subgroup. But the other way, there's no pervasion. If it is color, it is not pervasive, that is the color of the wood. Why? Because the group color is much bigger. We have the color of the house, the color of the dog, the color of the mug, of the cup, and so forth, isn't it? Okay, same question. Two groups here, color and root color. From these two, which group is the biggest one? Okay, so because the color is the bigger group, we say that the root color, if something is the root color, it necessarily must be color. It is pervasive that it is color. But the color, because it's a bigger group, there's no pervasion that it has to be a root color. Okay, so this is what it means. There is pervasion, there's not. Okay, so Singapore person is Singapore human and all humans. Okay, which one is bigger? Yeah, it's because you're in lockdown. Okay, so the group that includes humans is bigger than the group of Singaporean humans. And therefore, if someone is a Singaporean human, it is pervasive that it is a human. But if someone is a human, it's not pervasive that it is Singaporean human. Or when you say if someone is a human, it's not pervasive that it is Singaporean. When you say not pervasive, at that time in your mind, you are calculating a possibility of something which is human, but not Singaporean. Give me an example. Okay, yes, it's like this. This is how you respond. Okay, so now white flower and flower. Okay, so which of the two groups is the bigger one? Okay, so where is pervasion and where there is no pervasion? Okay, so the white flower, it is pervasive that it is flower. But if it is flower, it's not pervasive. Okay, example. Okay, if you don't have an example and you say there's no pervasion, sorry, you're mistaken. That's not correct answer. You have an example? Yeah, because the yellow flower is the flower, but it's not white flower. Okay, so this is the possibility of no privation. Okay, so do you understand now? There is privation, there's no privation. We covered it next week, but it's irresistible. Food and momos. Okay, which of these two is the bigger group? Okay, so what is who pervades, who does not pervade? If you can think the example, right, then it means you can give the answer. You can say, okay, there's no pervasion. All right, okay. Our dog Lamo and all the dogs in Singapore, who's the biggest group? Okay, so when we're going to say there is pervasion, there's no pervasion, how would you say it? Okay, every time you say there's no pervasion, you have to follow it by an example. We're dealing with the dogs, you can't bring the cats in. No. Kishla just said, Singapore is full of dogs that are not lovable. You can say any of them. Don't think about cats or little rats or anything like that. Okay, Geshe says, I think we're very close. You are almost, I think, close to understanding. There is privation, no privation. Okay, if you understand this, then soon it will be rolling off your tongue. You'll be saying all the time, there is privation. I think in English it translates better if you say it's necessarily this or it's not necessarily the case. All right. So even in colloquial conversation, we say that. Okay, let's go back to the colors. Yellow color and colors.
Yellow color pervades color, and color does not pervade yellow color.
Oh, yes, yellow. Example?
Purple.
Okay, very good. It is like this. And when you say there's no pervasion, you give the example. Okay, so just as we had this answer here. If the rest of you would. Okay, so somebody else, could you please give the answer? How would you calculate the privation between red color and color?
Of colors, but colors is not pervasive red. The other way around, right? Huh? Red color is pervasive colors, but the color is not pervasive red.
Oh, example?
Example. Colors, blue or white.
All right, so Geshe says, okay, now, is everybody clear on this? There is privation, there's no privation with the colors, for example. Yes, we're all clear? Or do you have any doubt? Any question? Okay, probably you got it. Okay, so now color and the color of wood. Okay, where is privation and where there's no privation?
Color of wood prevails color. Color does not prevail color of wood. Example, red wood.
Example, red wood? No.
Red. Oh.
This wrong. root color, all color.
Okay.
All color is not root color.
Wood color. That's not.
Root. I thought we stopped.
Root but the wood.
Wood. Yes. Okay. Not wood, but wood. Yeah, they sound similar. Okay, so we understand that if something is wood color, it is pervasive that it is color. But if something is color, it's not pervasive that it is wood color. Okay, for example, give me an example of something which is color, but not the color of wood.
Color of the ceiling.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so when we have three possibilities, all right, we say that you have privation going one way, but then you say the other way there's no privation. Okay, when we have four possibilities, you have to say there is no privation going this way, and also there is no privation going that way. Okay, do you think you can calculate that? Okay, let's look. One is the color of wood, and the other one is root color. Okay, let's calculate between them.
Yeah, one is the root color, one is the wood color.
Root color prevails wood color.
Yes. Okay. So if it is true what you said, that if something is a root color, it pervades necessarily that it is the color of wood, then what about the example of the white metal color? Okay, so the white color of the metal is not the color of the wood, is it? Therefore, there's no privation, is it? You said there was privation, and that's a mistake. Okay, so check it. Is it that we don't have privation both ways? If something is the color of wood, is it pervasive? Does it always have to be a root color? Okay, so we have to say no privation. All right, so if you say there's no privation this way and there's no privation that way, so how many possibilities we have here? Geshe says, I'm very pleased today because I think you got it. It is pervasive, it's not pervasive. So it's actually very good, and you can keep up the training, with yourself. You can just train, with colors, just play with the colors, right? There are many possibilities there. If you get it with the colors, if you become good at this, later on you can apply the same principles when we examine other subjects. So actually, when we look at this presentation, we begin with the colors, we begin with the root colors, and from the root colors we start with the white, All right. And when we want to give an example of white color in all those Dura texts, and definitely in our text, composed here by Khenso Rinpoche, when he wants to give an example of the white color, he says white like the white religious conch. And the reason, of course, he could give any example of any object that is white, but he's talking about the religious conch that is white, and this is for auspicious interdependence, because when you blow the conch, the sound permeates, travels a long distance. So it's for auspicious interdependence. In our text, it says, when we calculate the possibilities between color and white color, there are three possibilities. An example of that, which is both, is the color of the white religious conch. So now you understand why he gives this example. In other Dura texts, again, the example of the white religious conch comes about, but it is expressed in a different way. They say, if someone were to say that if it is a color, it is pervasive, that it is red, we would say, take for a subject the color of the white religious conch. So the other texts also mention the white religious conch, but in this text, it is from the beginning, he talks about color and white color. Okay, and he says that which is both is the color of the white religious conch. So it is there for auspicious interdependence at the very beginning. All right, thank you very much. We stop here tonight. Okay, so Geshe was saying that from now on, from tomorrow, he will be reciting this verse. So please have a look at it.